Well, today President Trump signed an executive order giving drug makers a deadline to lower the cost of prescription drugs in the U.S.
And the order calls on the Department of Health and Human Services to broker new drug tags, price tags for drugs over the next month. Our Washington correspondent Rachel Knapp joins us live. Rachel, what's the reaction on this so far?
Well, good evening, Nick and Renata. So some in the industry say that this is a shakeup that's very much needed, while others say that this is a bad deal for Americans and for workers. Now, zooming out on this whole idea about this is that the U.S. will tie in those drug prices to similar drugs that we would find abroad that are at a very much lower and cheaper price. But for the most part, when that happens, it's because it's a government-run healthcare system, and so they're able to negotiate those lower drug costs. But overall, people say that they are frustrated with some high prescription drug costs, not just nationally, but locally too.
Starting today, the United States will no longer subsidize the health care of foreign countries.
In a new executive order, it directs drug makers to voluntarily lower the cost of prescription drugs in the U.S. within the next 30 days, or could face new limits of how much the U.S. will pay for those drugs. The HHS secretary will broker new prices for drugs within that time period and develop a new rule that ties the price the U.S. pays for medications to lower prices paid by other countries. The president says this plan will increase savings on drug prices. Many drug makers say changes to their profits could impact the research they do to develop new drugs. The CEO of Pharma, which represents the country's leading biopharmaceutical research companies, called the president's plan a bad deal for American patients and workers. They released a statement saying in part, quote, "It would mean less treatments and cures and would jeopardize the hundreds of billions our member companies are planning to invest in America," end quote.
So many patients show up at a counter of their prescription or of their pharmacy to get their prescription, and they are surprised by the cost.
Brian Norton, the CEO of Logistics Health, says this is a huge shakeup for the health and pharmaceutical industry.
Really push the manufacturers to say, this is my bottom price. This is what I can go to market with. I can't pay rebates. I can't pay kickback incentives. I can only go at this price. And then we take it and go, great. As long as we have some room to let the pharmacies make some money and the patient can get a great cost and we can make a little bit of money to do the work, then it works. And the other 60, 70.
And Nick and Renata, the president repeatedly blamed these countries, not the pharmaceutical companies, for the reasons why that the U.S. pays so much higher for these drug costs. Now, a few years ago, Congress passed a law that would allow Medicare to negotiate some of these drug prices for people who are on Medicare, but those are for just a handful of drugs. That is set to take place, or kick off, I should say, by 2026. Now, as for people who have private health insurance, some experts say it's unclear how this executive order will impact them. Nick and Renata, back to you.